Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update. It's the week of June 19th. And, I'd like to say there's a whole lot of new information, but I can't because we're still having to address the information of the past 3 months or whatever. So, we're going to have to talk about the annexation. We're going to have to talk about Gaza again, as well as COVID, etc., etc. So some things never seem to change, and the bottom line is that we're going to just have to keep working through this. And as believers in Jesus, we have to continue ask ourselves, are we really living in the times of the signs? Because this world is just going crazy. Have you noticed? It just seems to be spinning out of control. And it seems like there's strong delusion. People that I talk to, that I respect, are all very concerned because whether we don't know who to believe. And we're not just talking about subtle differences. We're talking about radical differences. Whether it's COVID, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's the political situation in the United States right now between the Democrats and the Republicans, on and on and on. Well, this is our Middle East update. So let's take a look at our news bites. Ireland and Norway were elected to the UN Security Council yesterday, and Canada was denied its bid for a seat. Bottom line, this is shaping up to be a body that's likely to become even more critical of Israel in its upcoming term. Not exactly good news, right? A group of Democratic House members are currently collecting signatures for a letter cautioning Israeli leaders against unilaterally annexing portions of the West Bank. No big surprise there, but again, we're seeing this become a political item for the upcoming elections. Democrat, Republicans, Trump's peace plan, annexation, a line is being drawn. And the Democrats are making it clear, and I don't know how else to put it, but they're not pro-Israel. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has told Confidence, because we're going to talk about this annexation in a second, that if Blue and White, Benny Gantz's party, manages to torpedo the government's approval to sovereignty, he won't hesitate. Are you ready for this? Can you put 4 up? To call for another election. Like I said, nothing new to report, but boy, that rear view mirror is murky. Well, annexation update. A report from Israel Today, this morning claims that Netanyahu is exploring dividing the annexation efforts into 2 stages. The first stage would reportedly center on settlements that fall outside of the large settlement blocks, constituting about 10% of the West Bank. I think his strategy is, we're going to get the large ones. Let's be sensitive to the saber rattling. Let's just go after the ones we wouldn't be sure of. Only 10%. But here's the plain facts. We're not going to know until if you follow Netanyahu, you realize he keeps things very close to the vest, and we're not going to find out until July 1st. So now Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, key Senate House committees, has indicated that, of course, the King of Jordan, Abdullah, is warning that any unilateral Israeli annexation is unacceptable. It undermines the prospects of achieving peace and stability in the region. And we're hearing a lot more of that. So it's no surprise of what we see Netanyahu's strategy being. There's an article, there's a new group out that, if you remember Brexit, this is sort of Jew-exit. They're trying to educate and persuade Jewish brothers and sisters to leave the Democratic Party, which has basically abandoned the Jews in Israel. Again, Jet Set, it's its name. They're trying to get away from Jews just blindly voting Democratic. It says its mission is to educate Jews about the dangerous shift in the Democratic Party policy it's going away from its support of Israel. Now, Jews, as we know, have traditionally been the bulwark of support for the Democrats, but Jezex says that the party is undergoing seismic changes, alarming changes, by embracing anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli comments. You're dealing with Democrats like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who, again, not only failed to defend Israel, but are major supporters of the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement. So we'll kind of keep our eye on that. One of the most wanted terrorists in the U.S., her name is Ahlam Arif Ahmad al-Tamimi. Now, you see the pictures, by the way. To get the PDF, which comes with the pictures of whatever, just go to our website, holygroundexplorations.com, or just click on the YouTube link and see there. Now, this woman was convicted in Israel of a 2001 bombing. And you had 15 people killed, 120 people were injured. Of the 15 killed, 2 were Americans. This is the Sabaro pizza parlor that was bombed. You see the photos there. And the U.S. is considering withholding aid to Jordan to force Amman to extradite this woman because of the deaths of the Americans. And Jordan's King Abdullah is visiting Washington this week. From his standpoint, no doubt dealing with the whole issue of annexation, but there's going to be leverage now on the American side of things to get this murderous woman to justice. So again, one of the most vivid, graphic, brutal, savage killings from a suicide bomber that she transported there, and she's the brain works behind this whole tragedy. Well, interesting article that I read in Prophecy Today, Newswatch, I think. It says rumors of war, as if we didn't have enough already going on in 2020. We're now facing the possibility that several regional wars may erupt. China and India had both been pouring troops into disputed border regions, and now there's incidents and there's killings of one another. On the Korean Peninsula, we have North Korea just blowing up a joint liaison office that it used for talks with the South Korean government. In the Middle East, we've already talked about Jordan, but Turkey is warning of grave consequences if Israel goes ahead with its plan to annex portions of Judea and Samaria. So if a major regional war erupts, which is just a click away, it seems like, it would be devastating, a devastating blow for global economy that's already imploding. And there's a strong probability that the US and other major Western powers could be drawn into this conflict. So once again, we have to ask ourselves, what's the times that we're living in? Wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, pestilence. I think the Lord's coming soon. How about you? Well, last thing here, a couple more. Gaza remix on Monday night, no big deal here. I said, again, no new news. Gaza shot a rocket into Israel, and Israel retaliated, and it seemed like it was a pretty strong retaliation. You can read that article. And then a friend of mine, you heard me a lot of times refer to Moshe, who runs Shorshim, the biblical shop in the old city of Jerusalem. But I read this and it resonated with me, and it almost could be my words. But my life changed when I visited Israel. And now 40 plus times later, I'm already missing it. I can't wait to get back, because something is unique about your time there. This is what he wrote. Orthodox Jew. He says, "It is only in the land of Israel that you will discover your inner purpose and destiny. Israel is not a place to escape or to run to, although it can be used for that. Israel is a place to step up into higher purpose and meaning. Israel is a place where every step you walk, you're immersed in the divine presence. Israel is a place where every stone and boulder is cherished. For your servant," this is Psalms 102, "for your servants take pleasure in her stones and show favor to her dust. Israel is a place wherein one is awash with a sense of purposefulness as well as meaning. And finally, Israel is also the place that lights a beacon in a darkened, confused world and is attracting all people who love God, our Heavenly Father, to take part in the unfolding plan of His destiny." Well, our last slide is our Israel tours in 2020 and 2021. Take a look. We'd love to have you join us. With that, that's our Middle East update for this week. God bless and shalom.